Hello, welcome back in. We're here for more Proving Ground Game 1 Team Liquid Academy. It might have been a slow start at first, but once they came online, it was disgusting, especially Hayri, who went deathless in that game.
Yep, we got that confirmed. No deaths for this player. We're going to take a look at a few replays as well here. This is very, very early on in the game, and this was a turnaround for Dignitas. They managed to set this one in their favor. That beautiful Zenith blade, man, I cannot get over that. JJ is really an exceptional support.
He is. And here it's like I was saying, for the side of Team Liquid Academy, it was a slow start. It looked great out of Dignitas Academy to start all of this off, where they were able to have this fantastic play in the bot lane where Hayri, he passed down, but unfortunately, it was a little too late to be able to save Yon. Then he put himself in danger, which forced Ayla to have to defend his mid laner and keep him deathless throughout the game.
That could have been it. That could have been the
Could've.
one death right there very early on, but that wasn't the case. And it was a really, really good reaction from Dignitas. Here is the Enchanted Crystal Arrow that you get a lockdown once again on to Hayri. But Hayri manages to split off, and the fight turns over to the left side here.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing to me, is there's so many times when Hayri really should have died.
Yes.
There's no real reason why this Cassiopeia should have lived as many times as she did. But that's what ended up happening. And because these kept happening, and here, when things had become nearly dead even, it was much easier for Team Liquid to fight this one out with, especially that Will was completely focused away.
I just now noticed, too, the Realm Warp from Saligo actually put Saligo on the inside of the blue pit, and it put Spawn on the outside of the blue pit. So it actually ended up separating those two players when they were trying to initiate on the follow-up with the Hextech Ultimatum.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, it's just unfortunate. It almost feels like this game was so unfortunate for Dignitas Academy. Right there, a 4-man Petrifying Gaze from Hayri where he flashes over and again survives! How did he do it so many damn times?
So, it's just absolutely insane. I think a lot of that was just recognition by Team Liquid. All right, Hayri will be our carry. I mean, Hayri the carry is how this game went. And so everyone was going in and absorbing damage. And fancy footing, even without any feet, on the Cassiopeia really worked out very well. We can see right there, gosh, the piercing arrow is going to miss as that fight was split. But Will goes down. Team Liquid continued to find fights once it hit that second half. Once they hit their stride, that was really it. There was no shutting them down.
Yeah, and for poor Will, he was pretty much just forced out of anything he could do in the early game, which is normally where Will tends to have these great strengths that we've been seeing out of the 16-year-old player. This really young talent for Dignitas Academy has been from his early game plays, and Armeo read him like a book. He knew exactly where he was at almost every single point of that early game, where he only had one successful gank. The other times that we actually saw him, it was because he got picked out by Ayla, who headbutt him back into 4 members of his own team so they could burst him down quickly.
And I think a lot of that too, we talked about pick bans, how important it is here in the current meta. And when you have Camille and Xin allowed over to Dignitas, that's a little sus. You got to be suspect that Team Liquid has to have a response. If they are giving over top 2 champions for 2 players right now, that they've got some up their sleeves, and they absolutely did. A big part of that being the Lulu for the top side.
That Lulu out of Jenkins, like I said, this is a throwback all the way back to week 1 of the summer split out of Jenkins, where he was playing this one when a few other people kind of played it as well, but he was really the most successful of all the Lulu tops that I really saw. And you can see why in this game, how little Lorlo could do in the early game. Eventually, yeah, he was able to get a kill from nice gank from Will way late into the game, but by that point, Jenkins had already done his job as Lulu. He had already made sure this Camille was far behind, already set an item and a half behind Lulu. Sure, yeah, cheap items from the support, but that's still a good distance for this Camille, who really does need those 2 items to be the split push menace we know her to be.
And, maybe it's a jump back to the Akshan for Lorlo. I feel like, hey, that'd be a pretty good matchup if they do try to do something sneaky by having some sort of, either killer or just oppressor in the top side, and Lulu being an oppressor for sure, just because of the amount of utility that she offers all around, whether it's in the lane or in the team fight stage later on. You know, that might be an angle. So I think Dignitas going into this one, the main thing that I would like to see from them is a little bit of flexing. We're used to seeing a lot of flex from Dignitas, and it really works well in their favor. But right now, it was Team Liquid that flexed, and Dignitas kind of played themselves out. And like you said, Team Liquid was able to read it like a book.
It was well done out of Team Liquid Academy, but here, going into Game 2, Dignitas Academy have elected to be on blue side. They are swapping sides into this game, trying to see if maybe that will be able to get them not only that far as first pick, but those creative picks that we know Dignitas are fully capable of bringing out into this one against Team Liquid, but we need to see them, as you were talking about, Jelly. We need to see them actually commit to that and not lock in their top side so early on, where pretty much outside of that, we knew everything from the first 2 picks out of their draft, what they were looking to do.
It's true. And then with the limitations like of the ADCs, we had the 2 final bans as ADCs. It absolutely onto spawn. And for them, they're like, hey, this is good, but I think part of the idea behind that was, the Alistar. They're like, okay, we're going to fake it out with the Lulu and bring in the Alistar, who's just, can decimate Ashe.
And that is pretty much what happened in the mid-game. Those picks coming in from Ayla were absolutely outstanding. But going into the draft for Game 2, Jenkins never going to be able to get his cannon, not after he pretty much decimated poor Cloud9 Amateur with that pick. Honestly, Speedo just didn't know what hit him when they let that through twice, and now everyone has learned their lesson going, oh yeah, that's right. He loves that champion.
He doesn't just love it. He kicks booty with that champion. That's all you could say. Again, you mentioned it before we even counter.
Yep. He's just losing you a little bit, Jelly, on my end, just to see if we could get that fixed. But yeah, looking at how Jenkins is able to play, he is an outstanding top laner, same as Lorlo. Both of these players are absolutely phenomenal. But you were talking about it best. We need to see Lorlo holding on to that pick. I know the Camille is tempting, but we got to either ban it away so that way Jenkins doesn't play, or wait it out. Here, I'm kind of expecting to see Team Liquid Academy wait to see once you know what Lorlo is playing in the top lane. Immediately after that, they're going to grab their counter. But for the side of Dignitas, at least put that off till the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the standard pick. This is what you expect and what you want. I just have to do unprofessional with my cable. That's what we're going to have to do out in front. So locking in that Varus is great. TL Academy, of course, are going to respond and say, all right, we're going to pull out the Aphelios and lock in one of the best supports right now.
Yep.
In the Thresh coming through, and based on how Ayla likes to play, that is right up their alley, and it's something that is excellent into the Varus if you're able to get a solid death sentence.
Safe bot lane, not really gonna look to do too much, but also can if they need to. You also have the scaling from Aphelios, the pick potential from Ayla with that Thresh. On the other side, you got the safety from Braum to help out, especially because those concussive blows with the help of the Halo Blades is going to really quickly be able to lock down one target. But you still got to be careful. You're very susceptible, and we saw before that Yon was the one who got caught out a lot by JJ. Here, it might be that Spawn is going to be the one who has to be incredibly careful.
I love it. They're bringing out the big guns. The Viego lock-in is going to be the final pick in this first round of picks for Dignitas Academy. And yeah, there's safety on both sides. There's aggression on both sides, but very piercing arrows are huge. And with Aphelios needing to get a lot farther into the fight to do as much damage, I'd assume that initiation is going to be TL's aim coming through. And there you go. Another Jarvan. Cataclysm available.
Yep. I saw the Camille at first, and I'm like, ooh, so Jenkins is going to take that away from Lorlo, but instead, they're going to hold off, probably ban it away, even if you have that pick for Jenkins in the top lane of Lulu. You saw that Lorlo was starting to get pretty scary despite being far behind. And you got to imagine, here with Will most likely playing that Viego, it might be a little bit easier for Will to kind of play a little bit more passively earlier on, scale up, get his first item that Divine Sin today, so that way he's going to be incredibly scary when it comes to the mid game, and he is going to be another one of those threats that you have to worry about carrying the entire game. Oh, I can't hear you really quick, Jolly. There we
Alright,
go.
I have to go back in again.
Your mic doesn't want you to be comfy. That's
Apparently
what it is.
not. Yeah, it doesn't want me to be professional or comfortable. So
No.
that's all right. I think it's time for a new one that spells it out right there for me.
Yeah,
But
hey, you know what, that happens. It's okay. But we'll
It's
get
true.
past that. We'll look at this.
Yeah.
Rise band away from Saligo, and the Camille actually taken away by Dignitas themselves. That surprises me.
yeah, a bit of a surprise. The fact that they hovered it though means that they expressed interest, and you know what? That alone is probably enough to be scared of. I respect the respect that Dignitas shows.
Oh, respect too.
Oh, and there you go. Right. I mean, immediately in response, you get even more respect.
Yeah, saying Lorlo, you are not going to play Akshan today. I'm sad. I wanted to see it. I have not gotten to cast Akshan just yet because he hasn't been enabled in many regions over in the LPL.
Yep.
We never got to see it. But here, we're seeing a lot of that top lane focus continue. Akshan towards Lolo, and then you got the Jace taken away from Jenkins. You already had Kennen before Camille. That Lulu, though, still wide open. But if you pick it here, now counter can be opted for by Lorlo if he knows how to play into that. Or, I was about to say, or do we get the top lane Lilia that we've been seeing slowly crop back in?
They've got a lot of solid hovers, and okay, I was gonna say it's not standard meta, but that's pretty standard meta right now for the mid lane. Harry is going to be taking that one in. You know, some good options. The Rise banned out means that there's, you know, the Twisted Fate being banned out too. That's been another one, another early pickup. Syndra is, if Saligo, and we've seen Saligo Syndra. Syndra is probably one of my favorite counters that I've been seeing recently. Ooh, it's going to be a Lissandra hover, who is another one as well. I just don't play as much Lissandra, so I don't think about her as much.
Yeah, I was about to say, Lissandra is one of those, you know, just classic straight-up counters towards the LeBlanc Kindred. Well, yeah, you know, you're going to keep your team alive. It's going to be safe. They already got that Viego, and I'm expecting it for Will. That was one of the champions that you look back to the summer split when they had their successes. It was when Will was on Viego. And here for Lorlo, grabbing in something that is going to be a little bit more scary in the lane phase can be nice since you don't have to worry about that Gnar. The cannon's taken away too. Camille's gone. So what do you have left? You got Lulu, I suppose, for the top lane. Or Kled!
It's Kled! I was going to say maybe like an Ornn, like, you know, you've got some...
That's not a Jenkins pick.
It's true. It's not a Jenkins pick, which is I was thinking maybe Lorlo was going to take something like the Ornn because it seems a good counter into Jenkins picks.
True.
But it's just going to be straight up, no, you're going to take Renekton? All right, great. I'm going to get Kled. Excellent.
I mean, a lot of people know I like Kled. Kled is a crazy person. I'm a crazy person. We're two kindred spirits here. It's great to see. I'm used to seeing Niles play. That's a Niles champion, that Kled. But seeing Jenkins, and I talked about this before. I'm not going to say that Jenkins can't play this. He's got an ocean for his champion pool. It is very deep, but he's got a lot that he can provide, and this Kled's going to be fun.
So much fun. I mean, Kled alone, whether it's the voice lines, whether it's the fact that he's on Scarl, this giant, I mean, I don't even know what lizard. Scarl is, but lizard, yes, giant somehow lizard thing, whatever. It's going to be a blast. Oh, it's going to be fun.
It is. But, Jolly, we got to toss it over to some breaks. We'll be back here in just a little bit, so stick around. Alrighty, we are loaded up for our second game here. Team Liquid Academy are one away from securing their 7th series victory in a row, let alone their 6th game victory in a row in this tournament. Technically 7 if you count the game 5 back in the finals for the Academy split. So here, there's a lot riding for Team Liquid. They've got all the momentum on their side, while Dignitas finally suffering a loss here in this proving grounds after having been so strong for so long.
And Dignitas is not all is lost, because this is game 2. It's a best of 3. For all we know, this is what Dignitas was looking for. They finally figured out what strategy against Team Liquid works best. Having Will back on the Viego, I like that step. Being able to counter picks into, you know, the mid lane, and then at least having some priority on the bottom side, I'm liking it. The fear that I have is going to be Jenkins towards that top side, at least the fear for Dignitas. For Team Liquid, they just have to kind of do what they did last game, just the consistency that they showed in the positioning, throw down solid vision, and you'll have the upper hand.
But here, I'm keeping my eyes on the pathing from these two junglers. Will is not going to be on the opposite side of Armeo this time around. It's not going to be two passing ships in the night. He will be on the top half after just a little bit of time, but so will Armeo. And I want to see how Will is going to be able to answer that, if he's actually going to look for a play, because we're expecting Jenkins to do exactly this, to bully Lorlo as many times as humanly possible in this lane to allow Armeo to easily come up and secure a kill.
He already started Slice and Dice. Usually, you know, you hold off, at least with the Renekton. I guess just out of the fear here, but we just saw the Slice come through, so he didn't even get the secondary damage. I'm kind of used to that Q start, but it is much safer to do Slice and Dice. That's not a great sign to see coming from Lorlo that he's picking the safe option.
I feel like you have to, though, into Kled. If you went Call of the Meek, you're just going to die the moment that bear trap lands. It's on a rope after all. You can pull it back.
But as at least you got the fancy foot, and you know, Renekton. It's not a super long ability in the bear trap on a rope. Yes, it does get the nice pullback, but it doesn't really make a difference now. Both have hit level 2, and I'm sure Call of the Meek is going to be that second one, unless they're looking for a gank. And there are pings actually coming up right now from Will.
This is what I wanted to see. I want to see Will's pathing into the top side, but he's been completely spotted out. There was a ward placed down early on by Jenkins, so he knows that Will is there. That's why Armeo, instead of going onto the Crux, immediately pathing towards the top side to make sure Will isn't there and potentially threatening Jenkins.
There was no ward, actually. That was just
it timed out. It timed out just.
Did it time? It timed out just.
Yeah, you see that little? You see the little run that's right there.
That's blue. I don't see the minimap very well, but that looks blue to me. And there, Armeo immediately putting down another one, recognizing, all right, Will is looking towards the top side. We need to keep eyes on this. And now Ping's coming out here to try to assist in the mid, but Armeo is going to try to cut off Will.
Oh, and Will's getting the better end of that trade, and even though Jenkins was on the prowl, looking to see if he can join into any one of these fights, he had to worry about Lorlo on the other side. Scarl, he's been kicked away, so no longer having the Lizard to be able to back him up. They have to be careful. There's going to be the flag and drag away from Armeo to stay safe.
And now just a red ward resides in that bush. A lot scarier for Dignitas going forward. Wasn't quite successful. It was a lot of damage onto Armeo, who just lost that blue buff right there. Yeah, right? Let's see if, fight! See if they do. Jenkins, that was coming up on Scarl.
He TP'd back to make sure he had Scarl for that fight. Dream members are still here, but bot lane, a 2v2 fight with the play coming in from Ayla. JJ puts up the door, but he's rooted still by the Gravitum. Purple gone there from Yon with no mana. Not really going to want to follow that up, but still, Will is on top of this crab. He finally will be able to secure it, but with Armeo and Jenkins both going back and not even trying to contend anymore.
Still no real vision on Armeo. Yeah, you had, you know, little fights with him, I guess, there. You have the idea that he's probably up and around mid-side, but the possibility for a recall is always there. Likely moving up, though, to try to get this Scuttle Crab in front of the Dragon here. He's going to beat Ayla, so have a little bit of assistance, and thanks to the pressure on the bottom side, that's going to be no problem. But the TP comes through from Harry, so no more TPs available on the side of Team Liquid. Still both of them free for Dignitas.
And with Will controlling Armeo this time around, Armeo, had he been able to get that Scuttle Crab top side, that probably would have actually been devastating for Will, who had been putting his heart and soul into controlling the top half of the map this time around. But you can see how much that's paid off for them. The deep wards that we saw in the first game by Armeo are absent here. You got a couple of wards that were placed out from other members, so that's why Armeo looked for a lane gank into the bot lane and couldn't do anything. Spawn and JJ are so confident, they stay up, they stay pushed. Hayri gets a lot of damage onto Saligo, but Saligo is himself. He's got that TP still available. He can easily back off and return.
Very easily, and is very far ahead, at least, you know, 13 creep ahead of Harry, so is totally okay with making the back. And if really doesn't want to sacrifice that teleport, can walk back to TP, though, will be used. I mean, that's the expectation here, because you don't want to get LeBlanc too far ahead, and you don't want too much pressure right now, because the Dragon has spawned, and the vision is currently in favor of Team Liquid in that area of the river.
Exactly, and you can see Armeo pathing there. They've got a nice push from Yon. Will be able to get himself a plate, then look to see if they want to turn on to that Ocean Dragon. They don't have to. They can wait it out and try to see where Will is first, and then make the play. Force out some of these TPs, they already got the one mid lane. Now if they can get rid of Lorlos, Team Liquid Academy, we're going to have a surefire way of controlling these neutral objectives.
We see the pings kind of coming out as well. Will going up towards Gromp, so not going to focus on the Dragon. The Scuttle Crab did end up going down there, so now it's just minimal vision for both teams. I mean, more in the favor of Team Liquid here, and they still have pressure as well in both the mid lane and the bottom lane. So really, whenever they decide they want to make a move on this, now is the opportunity. Really, they have the advantage in positioning and in lane priority here. And then we don't know where Will or Armeo are, but you know what? They're going to take the slow game, actually. We saw the pings coming out from Dignitas of, hey, they're probably on this, but no, they're not going to make that play. Instead, there's one to mid.
And this is why you pick the Lissandra into LeBlanc, but Harry, the great escape. Yet again, 2 games in a row, he's able to make that escape with the Guts Plus tagging on to York. First Blood is picked up bot lane instead with top lane. A 1-for-1 Morlo. When the hell did you do that?
Dominus! I was keeping an eye on that little box while you were watching the big one there. The flash, Dominus really coming in handy. You can see, I mean, it's hard to use an ultimate as Jenkins is Gled if, you know, Lorlo's already in on the fight. And when you don't have Scarl.
Oh, Lorlo was able to get rid of Scarl. The flash was so well done.
Yeah, lots of damage available there. That's going to make Lorlo feel much better about this top lane. And it seems like I keep wanting to say crowd control. It seems like CS creep score is all in favor of Dignitas at the moment, thanks to those 2 kills and a little bit of pressure that they've had. They still have a teleport available, though.
They got Lorlo still there, and with that solo kill onto Jenkins, the reason why it was just so well done, it was the patience into a normal counter matchup, a lane that you're expecting to be difficult and not really won by a Renekton. Getting the kill on Jenkins, who's going for a tanky path, and still having your own TP to join in elsewhere. He's got all the control of the top side that Dignitas needed last game. Now here, flexing his might in top lane this time.
Being able to start out, we can see here he did the armor boots right there, plated steel caps, already finished, so opted to go for the speed. Didn't use the armor and the speed, didn't use the teleport there, walked back up. Jenkins didn't have his, so he had to make the long trek, but Lorlo is holding on to that in anticipation of a fight, likely near the Dragon Pit here, that we might see something come up towards Rift Herald earlier, as we can see a lot of pings coming through from Dignitas. And I just gotta say, the number of pings this game compared to the last game is, it's at least double, if not triple, and in particular coming from Dignitas.
But here, this is going to be risky from Team Liquid. They knew that Will was most likely bot lane just because they had a lot of control on the top half. But they have to be careful because now Will, he's passed the entire way, all the way from Krugs here. But Jenkins, he's off the Scarl. He still grabs the lantern. The dash over from Lorlo. Jenkins got to be able to get over his wall. He's finally away with the pocket pistol, but now it's going to be Armeo with the flag and drag away. Remember, surviving out of Team Liquid. They've gotten the objective. They got the gold for themselves as well. But they've lost a lot of control over their own jungle on the top side of the map.
And losing that buff as well. Will is going to steal the red one. That's all they're going to take for Team Dignitas, at least in Team Liquid's jungle here. The fight might continue in the mid side, depending on how deep these supports really want to go. It's going to be Harry who decides to initiate.
There you go. Takes the claw away. The flash in from Ayla. He was hoping maybe that he could get that flag drag. Here's gonna be the dunk on Mayo out of nowhere. Gets his own kill, but now Will, he's on the prowl. The lantern's put down to get his jungler out alive.
No way, one more hit on concussive blows. JJ saw, and there was a quick little dance. And you can see that struggle meant for Armeo. Do I continue to move forward to try to wait for the lantern, where I might get hit by the concussive blows and locked down under tower and lose my life? Or do I stay in between the 2 towers so that when I do get locked down by concussive blows, I won't die to the tower? I love that quick decision-making right there. Dominus is coming out from Lorlo in the top, trying to be aggressive. But I love to see that quick decision-making and that communication coming through from TL Academy, and in particular, Armeo making that decision very quickly.
The fact that he gets out alive. Team Liquid Academy, how many times did these members just barely get out of dodge when it seems like all hope is lost? They really should have died there. You should have died earlier from Harry. And it's just these small misses from Dignitas Academy that added up last time. And here, we're seeing that even with a nice lead for Dignitas Academy, it's a 2-1 kill discrepancy. The gold might be favoring Dignitas pretty well, but keep in mind, we talked about it earlier, Jan, all he really wants to do is scale up, and he, even if he's down at death, is relatively even in CS.
It's crazy to me that the first dragon has yet to be taken here. I mean, there has been no priority on it. They both kind of acknowledged. I think Team Liquid is anticipating Dignitas wanting to move in on it, wanting to get a reactive play to them making the first move here. But neither team has decided to commit. Neither team has tried, I guess is what I'm more surprised in.
Yeah, it definitely is interesting, because with how Team Liquid were setting up, I expected them to look for that. But
Yeah.
Dignitas Academy, their tools to disrupt what Team Liquid Academy want to do this game have been working out perfectly. The fact that Lorlo was able to get that solo kill really threw off the groove, the mojo, for Team Liquid Academy, who had been reliant on Jenkins to rein in Lorlo at every point of the game, especially the early game, to get them those scaling members later on.
Now they've got a little bit of opportunity too. They have a lot of the summoner spells back up. Just one flash down in Armeo and one down in Ayla. Their teleports available. Some plate gold going through as there is 2 minutes left on that 14 is when those plates are going to drop. So we're going to see if Dignitas wants to actually try to make this play. There is no vision. A lot supplied by Dig. They're going to, but Armeo's in the back. You see how they initiate Armeo. Might off. There it is.
But Armeo, flag and drag with Cataclysm. When are you going to use it? When are you going to try to escape it? Flag and drag right towards the team to finally get himself that distance. But here's Lorlo, the flash in. That's a lot of damage. John's the first casualty. Then they take down the bot lane. Both gone. Jenkins here on the other side with the TPN. Lorlo was taking the turret the entire time, though. You got to be careful, even with the dominance. Got a little bit of health to work with. Only a little bit. Only the scrap. As Spawn on the other side looking for the snipe on Armeo, and they got it! They got the snipe, the stolen soul away from Will, with Jenkins still on top of Scarl. He can pull off a miracle here with the bear trap on the rope, the dodge away from Will. Will still got his own soul stolen away with a heartbreaker, breaking hearts on the side of Team Liquid Academy.
Stay alive! And they all stay alive, swapping tower aggro. Exceptional commitment initiation. It might not end well here for Saliga. Now he's gonna make it out just fine. My goodness, that was beautiful. Dodging every single ability, all of the bear trap on a ropes that were trying to come through, all of the responses were just immediately answered by Dignitas here. Let's take another look at that as the teleport comes through on this bottom side, and Armeo got completely locked out. The Glacial Fissure came through, you had the concussive blows, but an immediate swap by Dignitas in aggro over to Jan and Ayla is really what came through for that team. You got Scarl or Jenkins also coming through using the ultimate, but that flash away by JJ, and the recognition here, JJ saying, all right, I need to help out. You got to stay close to me, Will, because Lorlo is being chased, and I need to be able to get that W onto you. So absolutely incredibly done. JJ taking the tower here, walking out, Lorlo taking tower, and barely staying alive right there. So beautifully juggled by Dignitas.
That was beautiful. What a dive in from this team. And now you've got Lorlo 2-0. You got Will 2-0. The top side of the map looking night and day from the previous game.
It's beautiful to see, and sometimes that first pick or taking away an early pick from Team Liquid like the Varus, just so that Spawn has a little bit of self-reliance down there and allows Will to focus more onto Lorlo and Sligo. It has made a lot of a difference here, and Will putting down a lot of vision has also been a huge assistance. The things that were kind of messy from Dignitas in that first game have been immediately cleaned up, and just the fact that they are able to recognize those things, let alone improve them that quickly, is really something to marvel at.
I think that's why Will has become one of my favorite players to watch in the academy scene. I've been watching his journey since he joined in. And you see at first where you can tell he is learning, he is downloading every single player that he's playing against. And sure, it started off a little bit weak at the very beginning, all the way back when he joined back in week 5 in the summer split. But since then, the slow progression, his growth of making sure, he knows Armeo wants to control the top side, wants to control Lorlo. So what does he do? He makes sure he matches him, and now he is matching him yet again, forcing him away. He might have the Heartbreaker away, but he's got a lot of distance for himself. It's going to be the charge in, as Will now has to flash over and get himself towards that flash cone. The flash cone right into Jenkins, but unfortunately it is only 2 versus 4 with Lorlo ditching him on the other side. Will be the casualty shut down by Hayreed. Lorlo now, it looks like it's going to be their pretty much return this top side, where last time around they were able to make the dive happen themselves. Can Team Liquid themselves do this? The lantern away from JJ to stay alive, but he's lost Scarl yet again. Puck is shifted away, and that's going to be a sacrifice out of Ayla that he has to do if he wants to keep the carries alive out of Team Liquid Academy. While the rest, JJ here, tags him with the Winter's Bite, tags with the piercing arrow, but they can't follow up any further. Don't know if I have Jolly here on my side. Unfortunately, can't hear.
Is it happening? Okay.
Yeah, but it was happening again. There we go.
Happening again. All right, all right. I apologize, guys. I'm very sorry. This won't happen. I'll get it fixed.
It's okay.
But,
go with your point that you were saying that unfortunately we could.
Yeah. Sure. Wherever it was that I was talking. You know, I don't remember the point. I distracted myself with my own thoughts. But I have no idea actually what I was talking about.
It's okay. You're fine. How about we talk about
that fight? That fight is what I want to see, a replay of that fight. Yeah, it's a possibility. That would be very cool. If we can get the fight up, that'd
be nice. But until then, why don't we talk about items? Because we haven't really done a check-in on.
Yes.
You can see right now that after that fight, here's a 5,000 gold lead for Dignitas Academy. 17 minutes into the game. But you couldn't really tell that necessarily from the items. They're actually pretty even, much more so than you would expect with a 5,000 gold deficit out of Team Liquid Academy. And I think that's just because Dignitas Academy are working on those components. Once they're able to complete those, once they're able to get those, do those second items, that's when we'll really feel the might that Dignitas' hammer can bring. But until then, there is that moment where Team Liquid continue to work and scale themselves up.
Being able to fully buy boots, though, we can see, I think, you know, a big part of this Jenkins only having basic boots, and as a Kled, yeah, and the Sunfire, like, as a Kled, you know, you're going to want some speed, and really this Jenkins just isn't quite getting to where Kled wants to be. Had to end up going tanky to start out. Ooh, Chains of Corruption didn't quite come through. And Lorlo started out with those armor boots, with the plated steel caps. Now has the Gore Drinker finish, and that is massive on this champion. So to have those finished up when your lane opponent still has Doran's blade and basic boots, it's got to feel rough right there for Jenkins. And when you have one member who's not quite able to contribute as much as you would hope at this point in the game, at 18, almost 18 and a half minutes in, it's starting to look scarier and scarier with Dignitas scaling.
Yeah, and this is where I'm kind of keeping my eyes on. We're getting more and more components built up by Dignitas Academy, and with only 20 seconds until we have a Mountain Dragon up, sure, the first Dragon was taken by Team Liquid. But after that, it's just with them trying desperately to hold on to some semblance of control on this map. While the other side, they've got the gold in the right place. Lorlo 2-0-3 on that Renekton. Even though Will died from that previous play, he's still 2-1. Working towards that wit's end. He's at a perfect point in Viego. Once he gets that second item, that he is going to be a monster that it cannot be stopped.
And only 2 deaths on this side. They are going to make an initiation right here. Not a lot you can do as Lorlo with Dominus.
Oh, wait, there's a lot you can do as Lorlo. You can kill Harry. That's what you can do with the back of JJ, while Will takes out Yon on the other side so they can get more kills into their pocket.
Maybe continuing. Armeo trying to decide whether or not it's worthwhile. JJ saying it absolutely is for Dignitas.
Hello, Jenkins. Out of nowhere, here he is. He's got a lot of damage. Wait, this tank! That's a lot more damage than I thought. Spawn, he's gone, with Armeo now going to be the target from that first tomb. He was able to get the smite heal, but unfortunately Will was there to make sure that he can put him down into the grave. The Ruined King, raining down his kingdom all through Summoner's Rift.
I think the Dominus cooldown gosh, it's so low. It's so low, and that's so effective. We're going to take another look at that fight as Lorlo gets pinched out here. It's 4 members and JJ way back in the wings, but what keeps him alive? We can see right here, the Dominus gets popped. In goes JJ. Out comes the Glacial Fissure, and then Will finding out Yon and preventing Yon from being a part of this fight at all is huge. Barely staying alive. Got quite a bit of help right there from Varus, from Spawn. Chain Corruption might not have hit, but this is where Jenkins makes his move. Doesn't get the kill. It is actually stolen away by Armeo, who uses the Cataclysm right there at the end. But still, to have Sligo be able to come through, unbeknownst to Team Liquid, means that you're going to continue to get stacks, and the last thing you want is more kills and more feed going into this Lissandra's pockets.
I mean, honestly, everyone on the side of Dignitas Academy. Except for maybe JJ playing the Braum. If it was on hit Braum, yeah, then you wouldn't want him to get skills. But here, pretty much every member besides JJ if they get kills, they get gold, that they are going to be scary. You can see, having completed Banamune from spawn, his second item of the game, once he's got the Muramana, even though, you know, still missing that mythic, this Varus is going to do a lot of damage to the relatively squishy members of Hayri and Yon.
And poor Yon hasn't been able to do really anything in this game. Sitting at 0-3-0, you know, has tried some survivability. A nice blast going away from JJ's Glacial Fissure. That was very pretty.
It was very nicely done, and JJ without the Glacial Fissure is going to be a tool gone that they can disrupt Team Liquid yet again. But Lorlo doesn't even care. Even with the death sentence, the play didn't reach Lorlo. He was able to get a little bit of distance away to stay alive. They can still threaten this tier 2. It might only be 21.5 minutes into the game. They've got a lot of damage. They've got a lot of dive on their side with Will, with Lorlo, with Saligo. But they could easily take out these squishy members like Yon. But instead, they are playing the patient game. They're making sure they completely run rampant across the map and make sure that it's Team Liquid who have to be respective of where they are.
And that Dominus being up wasn't used in that fight. You mentioned, yeah, you get the death sentence, you get the play, but it's not enough to burn abilities that come through. Having a Gore Drinker, just so much survivability. Viego alone has innate survivability, and then, I mean, being able to Heartbreaker in and out of these fights has been really, really helpful for Will, too, for positioning, and I think is a big part of the kit that really works well with this player. Lorlo and Jenkins might have a little free-for-all here up in the top side, though.
Do you want this? Do you really want to have this fight? Look where your team is, and here's going to come the reinforcements on the side of Dignitas Academy. Will, he was able to get a lot of distance. He got the stun. There goes Carl. Even though Hayri was here, they've got the kill on Ecled, and Hayri has to flash away. But the concussive flow is stacked up. Just need a couple more hits to be able to deny him from that turret, but it's going to be a nice play from Ayla to make sure they get the shutdown for Hayri. Yawned over the wall. He's still alive with the flash coming in from Will with the Spectrum Maul to get cleansed out of him with an even help from the side of the Scale Boil. They couldn't get him alive. Yawn's taken down with 2 members now gone for only the one of Lorlo. Dignitas has to go back and look for the objective.
Team Liquid responding really well to that one, at least. Lorlo ended up going down. It took a lot, I gotta say. It took a lot. Our Mayo is still up on this fight. Dignitas recognizing, okay, we don't quite have enough time to make a move onto this Baron, but it's a lot of gold that's going to go in their pockets. And we're going to watch the start of this from when Lorlo tries to back in this bush, recognizes, hey, you know what, Jenkins is going to come for me, and my team is just below the Baron pit. So if I can extend this fight long enough to get them to move up here, it'll work. But we can see Jenkins starting to walk away while Will comes through, and that means JJ now has to go up through this tri-bush. Misses the Winter's Bite coming up right here. Jenkins fancy footing around that one. And oh my goodness, just the damage, the survivability. Once again, you see the Dominus go, you see the Gore Drinker go, you see the Call of the Meek go, and just that life bar that should have been absolutely melted still survives, and it took so dang much. The Cataclysm really reinforcing it to actually get the shutdown there, and Yon will end up going down here to Saligo, who is just going to continue to stack as this game goes on. I mean, Lissandra and especially Saligo, gosh, this champion, doesn't even matter that she's not, like, fed. She plays like she is fed. She deals damage like she is fed if she's able to get a couple of items in, and she doesn't quite have the second one done, but does have the needlessly large rod, has 5 stacks on that Dark Seal, and is sitting as resolved to instead go with a stopwatch, so a little bit of survivability just in case.
Just in case, as long as you can get the Frozen Tomb out of someone like Yon or Hayri, I mean, you've done your job. As Lissandra, you can see right there that it is a little bit difficult. As Saligo, you're fairly susceptible to getting burst down by Hayri, but it took a lot. There's a lot used out of the full combo from Hayri, and Saligo still survived.
Now the vision clear comes through. Dignitas's gold somewhat being, traded over to Team Liquid. That is the nice thing. It's like, all right, you guys have a lot of vision, but hey, I got a sweeper. Thanks for the gold.
It's 25 gold, though. It's not like you're getting...
It's how you console yourself. Isn't it 30 for the...
Is it 30?
I thought it was 30, but yeah, I thought it was 30.
It's some low number that doesn't mean anything.
It is.
That's
but it costs 70. It costs 75, right? So like, that's a good chunk. It's at least something. You spent money and now I break it. It's just a little bit of consolation. Come on.
Yeah, but when you have 4 digits of a lead when it comes to the gold on the side of Dignitas Academy, double digits really isn't going to matter too much for Team Liquid Academy. As right now, they are getting members to have more items. They're getting Lord Dominus Regard out of Yon. They've got a nice Zonias for Hayri. Even the Stair's Gauge out of Armeo to stay alive a lot longer. But look at the other side. That's all answered. Every single one of those has been answered along those paths. You've got Witten now for Will. Sterix Gage out of Lorlo, who was already damn difficult enough to kill before.
He's got a stopwatch. I love it. I love to see it. There's 3 stopwatches. A Renekton with a stopwatch is just hilarious. That's mean. That's rude, really, is what it is. Just another form of survivability, whether it's just to allow the rest of the team to get in or to allow the damage to already pop off that's coming through. So certainly going to help with the team fights here. Team Liquid needs to try to find some picks out, though. They're only 5k behind. I mean, considering it's 12-4, and they've got 2 towers up, Dignitas has 2 towers over Team Liquid, it's actually not a massive gold lead. There's a lot of opportunity if Harry gets a good initiation on these fights, but I think that's really the one big member of this team, aside from Armeo, who can make a massive difference at the point that Dignitas is at.
And this 5,000 deficit for Team Liquid Academy has been there for a while. Back all the way at 20 minutes into the game. They've been able to hold it strong at that mark. They haven't really gained much nor lost much from then, getting themselves a little that one turret to be able to at least have some gold and not necessarily hemorrhaging a lead like you normally see. Though they got to be careful if Armeo gets picked right there. Could have been bad. It could have been the Baron with the TPM behind from Lorlo. He's got Yawn. Oh, Yawn. He's got no escape. There's no lantern. There's no safety. It's only death eaten alive by the crocodile.
No TP, just a recall coming through from Soligo right there, or from Harry. Sorry.
Yeah,
that does it. Yeah. TL recognizing we don't have Harry. We need to get out from this fight. The TP comes back through as Dignitas moves in on this. They're going to find Death Sentence. They're going to follow it up. Looking for the engage.
Look at Harry. Harry had to flash away from the Glacial Fissure. Here's Dignitas peeling off. They know 4v5. They're going to be able to win. The Cataclysm went in from Armeo, and he burst down so quickly. Harry got distance, but it's going to be another dash away with the distortion just to get out of there. But now with another member, and this time the jungler being gone, Dignitas go right back to the objective.
No reason not to. You got still quite a bit of health, especially on the members that you want healthy, like Spawn and Soligo. Try to play this one safe. Sitting down below, looking for a potential pinch, just like we saw from an earlier fight coming from this bottom push.
You gotta be careful if you're on the side of Dignitas. You're pretty weak at the moment if you get burst down, but they've got Jenkins, lost Scarl, they've got the kill onto him too for Spawn, with 5 members still alive. Dignitas not losing a single member. That's going to be able to get slow onto Ayla, but they don't follow it up just yet. They got the piercing arrow, they've taken a lot of health off of Team Liquid. JJ jumping back with the door, but yet again, they've got these picks, and they can, this time, not go onto the Baron. They have to peel up. They're too low.
Has to peel off. They can clear out a little bit of that vision, but it's still a success. Team Liquid managed to peel them away. A really, really good immediate response, recognizing, all right, Baron is going to burn them down a little bit. Let's just move on this quickly to prevent them from getting enough damage. They do have Soligo. They do have spawns. They've got a lot of damage going through on to these objectives. So Dignitas recognizing we've got the upper hand. It's still only 5k, but they keep getting additional kills and finding pressure on the map, which, you know, is helping them get closer to breaking into this base.
But the big thing to me is, I mean, even though Yon is 0-5-0 on the Spore of Felios, it is still a Felios. He's still scaling up into the game, and he's still getting these items. He has a full item behind Spawn at this point. But all you have to do is continue to hold this same line if you're Team Liquid Academy. Keep getting the gold into the right pockets. You've got 3 items onto Harry. He's already got Oblivion Orb too.
Yeah, and like I said, Harry, I mean, he's right now the one that if they start a fight and they're able to get good positioning from Harry, he could be a saving grace. You know, along with Armeo, just because Armeo is so consistent with positioning, so good on these initiations, and following up on the team themselves. But I mean, Dignitas is doing such a good job of splitting apart the fight. We consistently see Soligo break off and look for a pinch. And while it didn't work on that one, we've seen it work in the past, and it's something that Team Liquid needs to be wary of.
Right now, Team Liquid are. They peel off, seeing that Sligo's top side, even though Harry was able to get a little bit of damage onto JJ. No way was he going to stick around for that fight. Not when you saw that Sligo was right there, right in your backyard, and can easily show up at your door at any moment.
And he certainly will. The second there's an opportunity, Sligo's going in and has the ability to get out. Now has Flash up as well, and there's quite a few summoners that are down for Dignitas, so a little bit think it's just like one sway. No, it's actually about the same. So never mind. Dignitas, TL both have a good opportunity here. Team Liquid looking for these 5-person fights, and Dignitas doing the opposite, waiting for some sort of initiation, trying to catch TL off guard without letting them recognize that all 5 members are in fact in the win.
20 seconds until the second Infernal Dragon of the game is going to spawn at Dignitas Academy, are setting themselves up to get themselves within that soul point just in case the game continues to scale, especially with how Team Liquid are able to play so passively, holding back as long as they don't go too far out. There's not a really easy way for them to get caught out by Dignitas. Even though Jan is the one who really has to be the wave clear, throwing a LeBlanc to wave clear, yeah, I mean, it's okay, but you want her to be in the side lanes if she's going to do that at all.
And that's where she has been. We can see pushing top for a while. Going to recall now after some pressure. Actually, it's going to be stopped out. We see some pings coming through as well as Lorlo tries to move forward, waiting for the rest of the team to come through here in the river. The pings remain. Can Armeo and Harry get out of here in time? They're fine, and there's a lantern on the way as well in Ayla.
Yeah, they've got the backup, they've got reinforcements here to make sure they're a little bit safe, but Will was able to find their retreat, their path to salvation. Their activation plan has been rooted and routed. They have to get themselves back to the start, but that's going to be the Glacial Fissure onto the tank. He has to flash away, make sure he's alive. Even though they got the chains connect, and a nice death sentence onto Will, they cannot follow it up. Not when they don't have their ADC, their Yawn is still pathing the entire time that fight was happening.
Good control as well by Jenkins, not using the teleport on a fight that was not going to continue on. Team Liquid's not going to let them get away with it that easily, but Dignitas is itching for a fight. They want to go in on this. Will has a Spirit Missile, or Lorlo has the Spirit Message finished up now. A lot of survivability, trying to go in on Jenkins here.
But Jenkins is pretty tanky at this point. He's got the Titanic Hydra. They've got him stunned up and kicked away from Scarl. Pocket Pistol could not get him to the Lantern. No longer is the tank there for Team Liquid Academy. So, again, we're going to see a similar play to what we saw before, Jolly, where it's going to be Dignitas onto the Baron with the dance.
The dance, because 4 members of Team Liquid are still up. So they got to be careful. Armeo is still available. Doesn't have Flash, but has Cataclysm. So that's not as big of an opportunity for him to go in. But Flag and Drag is always in, in the playbooks for Jarvan. So they're going to wait, see this burn down. Not a lot of damage going on to the members of Dignitas. JJ is taking the majority of it.
Armeo wants to get over the flash in. Ayla with the cleanse gets himself to safety, but Armeo was the real target. They've got him, and Harry has been completely split from the team. He's got to be careful. It's down to 25% this Baron. It's so low, but there's a lot of low health bars. Again, we have seen this before. The story looks so reminiscent, but this time the Baron's so close to death. Can they actually finish it? It's going to be Smite secured by Will with the TP coming in from Jenkins, but it's too little, too late for Team Liquid Academy. They got to go back to the drawing board.
Good recognition there. Yeah, we might be replaying what has worked and not worked in the past, but Armeo is down this time. Armeo was the target in that fight. It was a good bait out. Spawn staying on the Baron to ensure that it didn't begin to regen, because it did take them quite a while to get that Baron down very low. Not nearly as much time as it would take Team Liquid to burn it with someone like Harry on the team, with having Yawn on the team. Just taking another look at that, that was the decision maker right there, and it has been a lot of Lorlo plays on these initiations, but Will is the one that needs to be watched for. JJ flashing over the wall to stay alive there and offering Saligo a little bit of assistance as Saligo continues the chase on the other side. But once again, Dignitas working to split the fight. They do it, and they are successful.
It was a great fight from them. I love that Lorlo. At first it looked like he was going to target Armeo, but he made sure he got the cleanse and flash out of Yawn with his stun, so then Saligo could follow up onto Armeo. No longer having them stacked on top of each other, which was the initial plan from Team Liquid. Gets them the jungler, gets them the Baron, and now they are pushing in, and they have Team Liquid with their backs against the wall.
Baron minions pushing from the bottom side. Another initiation coming through, though, from Team Liquid.
There's the TP, there's the TP coming in from Lorlo. They've got the stun, and they've got even the stop push from Harry. That's going to be the one who they need to focus, and he's still alive on the other side with Armeo finished off by the Heartbreaker. Glacial Fissure gets the knock up onto Yawn. He's dead too. Double kill from Will. They can get more with Jenkins right in the middle. No longer with Scarl either. We're getting a series. We're going the full mile in this best of 3 at Dignitas Academy. 35 minutes and 20 kills to their name. They want to get a couple more on the way out. Ayla, he's barely alive. Same with Harry at the steps of his fountain. Getting a lot of damage, but it's going to be the game. picked up by Dignitas. We're tied 1-1, Jolly.
Going to game 3. This was my expectation for this matchup. I knew Dignitas had a lot more in them than we saw in that game number 1, and this is exactly why they delivered so much. Yeah, pull out the chalk because you're not erasing yet. Don't put that eraser away. I guess unless it's to erase the 0 for
the 0.
For Dignitas.
So
yeah, get the 0. Get the eraser just for a second, and then throw that thing. Throw that thing away. You don't have to throw it.
Well, I need to keep it for after this. It's a best of 3, not a best of 5, and even then, I'd have to erase the numbers.
So I guess. Well, that's why we do tallies. That's why I was confused with the 0 because I'm just. You tallies, I guess.
But it looks better this
It's
way.
true. It is
Look
a
at
lot
this.
prettier. Yeah, your chalkboard is much prettier than my notes. I'll tell you that much. But go in the
Oh,
full.
you don't want to see my notes.
Yeah,
You don't see my actual
we
notes.
we might do that later. We won't do that here. But I mean, gosh, man. I'm assuming the Team Liquid now moving forward is going to pick up the blue side, try to get that Varus. And then you have to question as Dignitas, do you want to actually ban that champion out? That's one that always ends up getting through, but it's such a consistent source of damage and crowd control and just really solid aggression and kind of self-maintenance in the bottom side that it might be worthwhile for Dignitas to consider banning that one out to prevent Team Liquid from having that easy first pick.
Well, I'm even wondering if you kind of... So, we've seen from Dignitas, both sides, red and blue, they have banned away Ziggs from Yawn. Taking that away each time, I wonder if they might just let it through and try to see if it's going to be a contested pick. But that's something we'll have to answer after the break. We'll be right back. Game 3, baby. It's going the full mile. Stick around.